This is an initial look at this Funai FHL-1150 VCR that I just couldn't resist taking home. It's pretty dusty inside. I do not know what these little brown specks are. I do not want to know what these little brown specks are. I know the belts are at least somewhat toast. The brake pad here is dislocated. Oh, well, that's good news. This looks like the Shintom mechanism. So I was a little hesitant grabbing this because it looks fairly new. I feel like this is probably 1990 or 1991. And from my understanding, and the whole reason I bought this, Spatsbear. I've seen all his videos talking about the older, good Funai, and I wanted to check one out myself. Now, the ones he has are late 80s. This appears to be early 90s. Yeah, I have another Shintom VCR. I believe it's an MTC brand, which I want to say was like Kmart's in-house brand or some sort of department store brand, but it's an actual Shintom clone, whereas this is a Funai which used the Shintom mechanism, and I think from my understanding, Funai did their own electronics. So, yeah. I don't know why I find this so delightful. Here's your hazard warning for shock hazard, and then I put this bottom plate on. They actually cut a triangle out so you could still see the warning. You know, it's the little things. All right, now that we're inside, we can put aside this thrift store tape. I knew they wouldn't want it once it ate the tape, and I kind of like these colored shells, so it's mine now. Maybe I'll do one of those shell swaps that people do and put a higher grade tape in it for a test tape. Anyway, this is a Funai. It's a model FHL-1150, and no word of lie, can't find any information online about this. I've searched old news groups. I've tried to search forums. Obviously, Google's useless because it's 2025. But in general, all I could find was some weird, sketchy site telling me that there was a FCC registration for this model number. Actually, let's take a look at the back. So, an actual Funai branded machine, which is not super common. I think most of them were under the Symphonic brand or OEM'd for other brands. But it is Canadian because it's oh, Jutan. Really? So Jutan sold Funai machines in Canada. So for those unfamiliar, Jutan International Limited, JIL, was a Canadian company. All right, I just want to kind of clarify here. I'm fairly certain Jutan was actually a Canadian company. I believe they were headquartered in Canada. They owned the rights to Citizen within Canada for electronics, but Citizen also sold watches and timepieces, and I think that was a separate company. I'm not exactly sure. At any rate, I've seen some comments, browsing online on Reddit saying that, it was a Korean company. Now, they outsourced to overseas companies, whether it was made in Korea, South Korea, or wherever, but I don't believe they were actually owned overseas. I think they were actually a Canadian company. It's just that they partnered with overseas manufacturers for various products. So they were more of like a distributor and an importer that would put their brands on things. Anyway, if I'm wrong on this, please let me know in the comments. That was responsible for selling under the Citizen brand, Candle, and there was a third one. And their logo looks a lot like the Atari logo, but if I recall, they actually started before Atari, or at a pretty close proximity. Anyway, they were kind of like a mid-tier brand, but I'm really surprised they were the, I guess, distributor for Funai, because obviously Funai was their own manufacturer, made in Japan. This is a Shinto mechanism inside. I think based on the videos I've seen that Spatsbear has put online, a second generation. So like the last good mechanism before they moved to their 1992 design, which was sort of the beginning of the end for Funai. I shouldn't actually say that. They did really well building garbage. Anyway, Spatsbear's videos are kind of the reason why I grabbed this when I saw it, because I really want to see, you know, how good these actually are. It sounds like it's a perfectly cromulent baseline machine that does a decent job, and I'm all here for it. How did I not notice that the serial number is the same as the date code except for an H? Like, this is just the serial number that they stamped twice. So that's not even a good date code. Anyway, let's open this up. All right, I've preemptively removed this front cover because in just spinning it around, this thing flapping about got caught on those RCA cables and broke this little tab. So I'm going to see if I can probably steal one of these little clip pieces from a sacrificial something, and then maybe 3D print some reinforcements on these two to get it back to snuff, because you have to have the cover. If the cover's missing, the machine is ruined. Well, actually, let's test it out and see how it's really actually ruined. Actually, before I do that, I know it's going to eat the tape because this belt going to the real tables is utter poop. So I'm going to see, I doubt I have one this long, but I'm going to see if I have anything that'll do a better job so I can test this out. The other belts appear to be in better shape. This one's pretty good. That one looks good, except for this flat belt. That is, that's actually really bad. All right, that was wild. I actually had a good replacement belt for this. I think I had a leftover Shinto belt. And unfortunately, the flat belt I've put in here is one of those garbage Amazon ones, so all the flutter, very wow. Is there? Oh no, there's no light there. That's just a red paint. That's a lie. Okay. Anyway, I figured I might as well just use this tape. It's already been eaten. Let's see what happens when I hit play. Oh, really? Really? Okay, what about rewind? On screen display there. Fast forward. The real tables are getting driven. It just seems like in play this isn't being engaged. What if I do cue and review? So I'll play again. And let's try review. Ooh. Whoa, okay, nope, that's not good. That's a crunchy mess. That actually faulted out. Let's try and snap this back in. It's completely locked up. Like, I can't spin that at all. So there's a gear engaging there. Is that just not engaging? Oh man. I don't think this should be that difficult to spin. This feels like there's some really dry grease on this spindle here. It's really stiff. This is the part that's not spinning. One moment please while I figure out how this is supposed to work. Okay, so it looks like this black piece here and this white piece have the clutch in between. So that would be used in play, cue, and review, where you're just using this to take up the slack. And the black gear on the bottom of this pulley will either mesh with this gear or this gear. This gear meshes with this white gear on the bottom, and this meshes with this black gear on the top. And let's see which one spins what here. So this white gear spins over here. So this would be used in the clutch situation. this one would be engaged, because this one goes to this white gear, which spins, I'm not sure exactly what this is, but you'll see it doesn't spin that gear up top. But this does, this black one. And so this black one meshes with that. But then, why would fast forward and rewind work? Would it just be because it's, you know, directly coupling and it just has enough torque to spin this? Okay, I just faked a tape and put it into fast forward. And yeah, that feels really stiff. And if I look on the other side here, it is directly moving the spool here. It's directly moving the reel table. So that just needs to be cleaned and lubricated, I think. All right, I think the dried grease culprit is actually in this pendulum mechanism here. So I need to take the front loading mechanism out to be able to take this out from the front. So front cover off, and then I think there's a screw here and a screw there. Might have to get this board out of the way. Well, this is silly. To get the front loader off, I have to take the whole mechanism out, and I'll show you why in a moment underneath. But at the very least, it is connectorized. It's somewhat modular. So here's a circuit board with a connector on it that plugs in there. It's a connector for the fully race head. It's a connector here for the video head drum. It's a connector here for all the motor controls, and I'm assuming there's a mode switch in there somewhere. And then a connector for the linear audio and control track head. So this whole board set here can come out, which is nice. And then I think there's just one screw that I have to get it back here. So it turns out those large screws are actually holding the entire mechanism down, and then these smaller screws on either side hold the front loader in place. But this pulley right here hits the chassis when I try and lift the front loader out. So to get this to clear the chassis, I have to take the whole chassis out of the whole plastic body. All right, that worked. I was able to lift this up. So you just kind of, it's got two little hooks on the front here. There's that, and they kind of slide into slots on the mechanism on either side. So they hook down like that. So you just lift it up and then kind of pull it to one side so that this pulley clears. That's come on. At least it wasn't too difficult. Just a lot of stuff you have to touch to get this from the top here. Actually, this part moves freely now that I have it removed. I was thinking it might have been the grease between these two plates here. Sort of see a bit there. But that moves freely. What's stiff is this black gear. So I probably could have got at this from the bottom. I think I just need to take that little red cover off, and then there's probably going to be a clip to take this apart. Oh well, might as well do it this way now that I have the whole thing apart. All right, I think this is the grease here that's old and gummy, this dark gray black stuff. So I'm going to clean this out and replace it with some silicone lubricant, and let's see what that does. Oh wow, it's all of these that are stiff. Huh, I was wrong. No, it's not that dark gray black stuff. It's this crap. I had trouble even just pulling that gear off of this post. It was so stuck. So yeah, I don't think it was the center gear. I think it was these two gears on either side. Grease. No grease. I wonder if this was factory. Maybe it's factory. I doubt a repair tech took this completely apart to relubricate it. I think this is factory. So this is me trying to pull the gear off that post. It's actually flexing the gear. Yeah, this is how it's supposed to be. That works much, much better. Actually, before I do that, that's a brake. Let's see here, that's a brake. I'm gonna glue that back in place because all these brake pads are in bad spots. There we go, much better. That was just some two-sided tape. I just need to do the same thing to this one. It's holding on for dear life. Okay, we're nearly back together. Got all the circlips on. I got all the clips on. These two gears had to be cleaned and lubricated as well. It almost feels like the plastic has shrunk a little bit too, so that they're a little bit tighter on these posts, specifically this one. I did the little twisty with the isopropyl to clean the inside as best as possible and used a very small amount of lithium grease on the bottom. And this is about as good as I can get it. One concerning point is that when it did play earlier for a second, I got audio, never saw video. So we don't even know if there's other problems. But yeah, let me get all the belts back on here and see what it does. Still no? What the fuck? Oh, son of a bitch. On the plus side, the gear was moving freely, that white gear, so this mechanism was working correctly. It's just the pendulum wasn't getting moved over to the real table. Oops, assembly error. Every time I take these off, they go somewhere, and I go, that's it. It's gone forever. This was the last time. This is it. And then I find it. Hopefully. There, I was able to just lift this gear up and then slip that back on. Now we have direction control. Hey, finally. No picture. Let me try. Oh yeah, this tape's just garbage. Well, I got something. That's a bad sign. There's pause. That feels like it could be a dirty or damaged head. Okay, so, oh, god damn it. Alright, there, I paused on something that won't get me demonetized. I couldn't take that. That was just, even hearing that song, nope. However, I did clean the heads, and where's my piece of paper here? They were filthy. Filthy. So I went and cleaned the whole transport, and now it seems to be playing fine. Now this is just a really bad EP tape. If you'll notice the flagging on here, let's see if we can show, yeah, the flagging, that's actually this recording. Every VCR I try these particular tapes, I have a whole stack of them that someone recorded, all from around the same time. Like they would just record their favorite shows, and I've got a banker's boxes full of these. I can't tell if it's because they used the lowest quality Memorex tape that you could buy. I don't remember seeing these in stores. The lowest quality ones I remember were the HG ones. I think they were blue and yellow, blue and gold on the outside. I don't remember seeing these at all. Like these are special order garbage. Or maybe their VCR was just, you know, well worn from recording tape after tape after tape. Either way, it does prove that the video heads seem to be good. This is not doing a good job syncing, and it makes the color look really bad for some reason. It looks fine, there's no flickering in person. Let me find a better tape, one with hi-fi, and then we'll continue. Now that the take-up spool is working, we've graduated to my normal test tapes. Let's get the tracking in the middle here. Hey, it's a warning telling me not to do what I'm doing right now. 2-head fast forward, which is what you'd expect. And then let's hit play. Bit of trouble locking in there. I'm not sure if that was the TV or the VCR. This TV is a horrible example. It's got vertical shrinkage. Well, that's wonderful. I don't know how much of this I can show. But let's just try review. Let's just do a regular rewind. Happy so far. I have a picture, so the heads seem okay. I couldn't tell you anything about what I think of the quality yet. The belt I'm using for the capstan is absolute trash. If you've ever ordered the cheapest belts you can in those 50 packs, and they're almost like shiny, and you hold them and then the width goes like this and they shimmy to side, yeah, that's what's on here right now. Funny enough, that big thick belt, this one that I replaced, that's a real proper replacement. I think that's like an SMC belt, but I don't have the capstan one, so I'm going to order them because I now have two VCRs with this mechanism. This and the MTC. I'll link here. I have to warn you, it's a very old video, but yes, and the hi-fi is working. Okay, I am going to give this a thorough clean. I only kind of half cleaned the transport, go over the pinch roller, and probably clean up the front panel and see what I can do about that cursed door flap, and then we'll meet back here. Fun fact about these cheap little TVs. They were made by Samsung, and they were sold. There's a million different ones out there that look slightly different than this, but have a similar layout. They're all Samsung, and I think this one had one shorted cap that was preventing it from turning on. Of course, it's always a cap. So yeah, I managed to get it going, and it works, I guess. These 5-inch TVs have a horrible picture, but they're very convenient if I need to just set up a CRT here for quick testing, you know, not actually watching anything worthwhile. I don't have to go into another room or string a cable all the way over there. Strategic blur. The aftermath of lubrication and the aftermath of cleaning. At least the guide path is nice and clean now. There's just a bit of super lube along there. I hate that black gray stuff that gets all goopy and it gets on everything. I just, that stuff, hate it. It's just messy. Something I just want to show here, which is kind of neat. I'll do a full demonstration of this once it's all back together. I tried putting the old belt back on just because that Amazon belt was a little too tight, and I don't like leaving tight belts on for too long because it's not good for bearings and stuff like that. It should be fine for a short while, but I wanted to see how that flat belt, sorry, yeah, I should have specified the flat belt, not the long one, would perform, and it's horrible. So I recorded some music that I can't play for very long, but just to give you an idea, let me hit play here. So I turned hi-fi off, so this is just the linear audio. Hear that kind of garbly sound? Yeah, it's I think that's flutter. Wow is more of the slower stuff, that little garbly top bit. So as this still needs do like bearings and stuff like that, and I need to find a new belt. So one cool thing is if I grab the pause button here, what I can do is I can press it and it will cycle ahead just a tiny bit so that you can find a clear spot, you know, a frame advance, but it's not a single frame. So if I hold it down, it will actually move in a very fluid slow motion, which is kind of a neat effect. It stops after a little bit, but if I do it again, that's kind of cool. I don't think I've seen another machine do it as fluid as that. Like that's just a very, that's not even like a, usually they'll just go tick, 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 and they'll move forward a fixed amount. This just moves the motor slowly. Just really, I don't even know if I can, is this even visible if I do that? I don't even think that's visible. My hand's shaking more than that's moving. That is a very finite movement from that motor. That's crazy. Look, field, field. All right, actually SP sounds bloody fantastic. That's the linear audio. There is no detectable wow and flutter. There's some like sustained piano type notes in this song, and it sounds just like the source. So yeah, it is not bad, but it definitely needs a new belt, and you can hear it with the EP recording. Also, I think these heads must be extremely narrow because first I'm gonna turn the volume down so I don't get hammered by YouTube. But if I adjust the tracking either slightly to one side or the other, I completely lose the picture. Like this is center, and this is maybe, if it was 0 to 100%, that's maybe 60%. And then if I adjust it here, that's about 25%, about a quarter of the way. And you see the same thing with the special effects. Fast forward scan. That is definitely some subpar special effects. But it's a two-head model. It's a two-head model, right? Oh, it's hopping between two fields. If I hold down pause, will it do the same thing as it did before? Yeah, just, with... You know what's weird? Is that I'm sure... Yeah, there, okay. Anyway, it's a two-head model. I mean, it's not... I'm not expecting the world from it in terms of special effects. It doesn't seem to be a head problem. The heads look crystal clear. I've seen 0 dropouts, and this is the recording that it made. And yeah, sure, in pause you're seeing some jittering, but I think that might just be this TV trying to interpret the signal. But recording even in EP, it was crystal clear, 0 dropouts, so the heads are fine. It's just, that's how it is. So this is the FBM 9.9, which is a 5 millimeter wide flat belt, 9.9 inches, I believe is the 9.9. And yeah, look at that. Like that's way too small. This isn't gonna fit. Actually, I stand corrected. It does fit. It's a little more taut than I'd like, but let's do a recording. Let's see if that actually sounds any better. No, it's still a bit garbly. And I remember the Shintom actually having kind of similar audio quality on EP here. I'll risk playing a bit of this. Yeah, you hear the strings, they kind of got that wah to them. So, I mean, that could be just need a bit of bearing oil, or it could just be how this thing works. Maybe that's just the limitations of this particular motor. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna take this motor out and oil it. And yeah, if you want to see how to do it, I'm following instructions from, again, Spatsberry video. Actually, this is gonna get the full treatment. Give this a bit of grease, clean out the shaft there, take this out, do the whole thing. I don't think it'll make a difference, but let's see. Actually, that is a little bit grimy. This flywheel is a lie. It's just thin sheet metal. I guess I'm used to seeing those big flywheels where they're also the rotor and have all the little magnets and everything. This is nothing. And it's slightly dirty on there. So yeah, it's worth cleaning, but there's not a lot there. There, much better. I keep hoping to find a clear date code. This one doesn't, well, it has a date code. I'm pretty sure that's a date code, but I'll have to look up how to read that because it's not immediately clear to me. Hard to see, but this motor definitely feels a little stiff. So maybe oiling the bearings will help. Okay, wow, that actually does feel way smoother now with a bit of oil in there. All right, back together. All the belts are in nice and clean. Motor is oiled. I cleaned off the surface of this flywheel as well. There was a bit of black crap from probably a previous belt. This is as best chance as it's got. And I got the 9.9, the FBM 9.9 belt on here, which it's a good quality belt, but I think it feels a little tight. So I'm gonna order a few more sizes, but let's see how this goes. Yeah, it's still garbly. Okay, that fixed it. It was this tension band, which again, I think Spatzbear mentioned in a video I did on an SL-700 that had a really, really unstable playback. You could hear it in the linear audio, and this tension arm was just going crazy. And he had mentioned that if you just clean up where the tension band sits on the reel table here, and then also clean the band itself, that problem went away for him, and it fixed my SL-700. Now this one, I didn't really notice this arm doing anything, at least not substantial. It might have just been very, microscopic, and that's what we were hearing. But yeah, just a Q-tip with some isopropyl, clean the surface on this here and on the band. And I mean, it's not perfect, but it definitely got rid of that garbliness. So yeah, there it is. When you're looking up chips by part number to see if there's any available data sheet for them, then you get this sort of Google search scraping. Each distinct category of 14DN348E undergoes specialized design for specific performance requirements to maximize machinery operational efficiency. Good God. I was just searching up some of the chips on here. I wanted to see if which one of these is handling the on-screen display and that blue screen, because I hate the blue screen, and I thought, oh, maybe there's a way to bypass it, or I just wanted to see the data sheet. Either way, this FEVZ and this FEVON chip, no results. I think this one actually came up with the word Funai when I searched it, so these might be custom chips for Funai. This board here, I believe, is for the Hi-Fi. When I looked that one up, that's like an audio decoder. And then this is audio as well for the control the left and right channels, switching between the line and stuff like that. Haven't looked this chip up yet. Okay, that's also related to Hi-Fi. So those two boards are for audio and Hi-Fi encoding, decoding. Then this handles the video signal, automatic gain, things like that. So yeah, it's probably, here's a FEVZ. So yeah, I think these are all custom Funai chips. They have names. There's FEVZ, FEVZ, FEVON. So it's probably some sort of acronym for an integrated IC that Funai had. The on-screen display looks pretty bespoke to this VCR. I don't think I've seen it on others, so maybe that's the case. In which case, that's pretty cool. But again, I don't like the blue screen. I find it hides useful information. Also, I got to give props to manufacturers that just straight up label stuff. These two ribbon cable connectors, you can see they actually put the function of every wire. Same thing on the top here. Function labeled, function, functions. We got some here. Like everything is so clearly labeled and has connectors on it. I really appreciate that, because you're never going to find a schematic for this thing. You're never going to find a service manual. You're not even going to find a user manual for this. It's so uncommon and forgotten. And looking back here, the simplest of power supplies you can think of. It's got a bridge rectifier there, some filter caps for the different voltage rails. I believe on the bottom side there's the regulators on this heatsink. And then this might be another bridge rectifier for a different tap on here for a lower current, like a lower voltage, maybe for the ICs. And then this is for the whatever rail handles the motors. Oh, it's got labels. Of course it's got labels. A12, A28, Pion 32, Pion 12, and then all 9. So there's A, Pion, and all. So I wonder if one of these voltage regulators actually gets switched on and off. So some of these voltage rails are switched and some are continuous. All right, let's take an overview of this VCR. Need to grab the front cover that I haven't reinstalled yet. This is a Funai model FHL-1150. It's a hi-fi stereo video cassette recorder with on-screen display system. So this is a 2-head model with hi-fi. So technically there are 4 heads on the video drum, but 2 video heads and 2 audio heads, which is kind of unusual. Most of the sort of big name manufacturers, if they sold you a hi-fi model, it had 4 heads. Before the 4 DA heads were common, you'd get 5 heads sometimes, like Hitachi did 5 video heads plus 2 hi-fi heads. I know there was some models in the 80s that had 3 video heads plus hi-fi, but in general, if it was going to be a high enough end model to have hi-fi, it would also have at least 1 extra trick head for the video, so you had clear special effects. However, with Funai, they made what I would consider probably one of the most basic, maybe affordable, I have no idea what this cost, Hi-Fi VCR. 2 video heads. It does have VU meters, but it doesn't have a record level control. So this is automatic level control only, but yeah, just a fairly basic model. Looking around the front here, power, it's just a red marking, no LED, eject button. And over here we got a stereo and an SAP light, because this does have MTS stereo, which is the method of encoding stereo audio into analog video signals. So, I mean, this is new enough. I believe I've determined this is around 1991. This is probably the last Funai before the new 1992 models came out. But yeah, it would have definitely had an MTS stereo tuner if it was hi-fi. Channel controls, rewind, fast forward, pause, record, and these funky play and stop buttons that kind of look similar to a Sanyo. Actually, no, it was a Sony made by Sanyo that I did a video on a while back. Similar sort of style. And then if we go under the door, we have a whole plethora of controls, because this is from the era before everything went behind a menu and cancel button. So you have clock set, program check, preset, your tuner mode, so TV would be broadcast, so above channel 13 is where this kicks in. So you have TV for broadcast, normal, which is cable TV, and HRC, which is the alternate, I don't remember exactly what it stands for, but there was like IRC, HRC, never got used here, so I'm not super familiar. Tuning and set plus, which is tuning related, select add for the tuner, timer record / enter, cancel, tape speed. And this does support all 3 tape speeds. Clock counter for the display, reset counter and counter memory. Quick time record, I think that's what that stands for, QTR. Similar to Panasonic's OTR, every brand had their own version of it. You hit start and then you hit this to set the length. So if there's a program that's just starting and you want to record it and it's an hour long, you can hit start, dial it up to 60 minutes, and it'll shut off when it's done. Audio output. So this both changes the tuner's behavior. So if you have a stereo signal on a channel, you can go left only, right only, or mono. But this also affects the playback too. So same thing. Hi-fi, left hi-fi, right hi-fi, or linear audio / mono. Input select, old enough to have simulcast. So the top has video and audio from the tuner. Middle SC stands for simulcast. You get video from the tuner, but audio from the line in on the back. If a TV station didn't support MTS stereo, they will sometimes simulcast things on a FM station in stereo. Like say there's a music concert and you want it in stereo. So if the station was mono, they'd simulcast the audio on the radio so you could hear it. And so you could hook up a FM tuner to the audio input on here. And then EXT goes to the full line in on the back. And then MTS stereo and second audio. So second audio I think was used for other languages. Never really used here. So then you have tracking, picture, and your headphone out with a level control. Now I don't have the remote for this. I don't know what the remote looks like. I don't know what the buttons were on it. But as far as I can tell, all the functionality on this should work without said remote. So let's dig into it. It's really hard to film reflective things like this. You need a lot of black background, and I'm wearing a white shirt, so this probably isn't working too great. But you can see the tape speed indicator there, and I can change it SP, LP, EP. You have your clock, which when I first turned it on was flashing to let you know it's had a power outage, and now once I turn it on, it goes on solid. Your channel indicator, which if I go to the line in, will just shut off to let me know I'm on line in. And you have these LEDs on either side of the VU meter, which indicate your audio mode. So you see now I'm listening to the left channel only, right channel only, and if neither are on, then it's mono. And this is the same for playback with hi-fi and linear audio. So let's set the clock. I actually haven't done this yet. So clock set. Now we're flashing. Let's see, set plus. Yeah, okay, so set plus does the whatever mode I'm on. So we'll set this to Thursday. We'll make up a time here. And I think select goes to the next one. Yep. And then I'll set that, select, set that, and then select. Just brings me back. So do I hit enter? Yeah, okay, enter finishes it up. Clock is now set. Now something interesting with this, it has on-screen display, but this is an early on-screen display where it wasn't required. It was sort of a nice feature, but you could do everything without it. So if I hit clock set again, it actually is showing me the same thing that the VFD was showing. And as I hit, I can go through the days here, hit next, change the time, next, and then hit enter, and now it's there. I think there was probably like a on-screen display recall button on the remote to show that information, because there's nothing on the front to do that. But yeah, and then there's a program check. And this goes through all the different programs. I believe this has a 4 event 14 day. Oh, no, actually 6 event 14 day. Now the tuner is kind of wild. The first time you power this on and you hit channel up or down, it will say P and it will start automatically programming. So again, it shows the same information on the screen. It's already on the front VFD. Actually, I just plugged in a source, so it'll actually add some channels as it goes through here. All right, it's added some channels, and now I can go through them and watch stuff. Actually, it did a fairly good job at adding all of them, but here we have a channel that doesn't have anything on it. Sometimes these automatic channel finders will be a little bit too sensitive and will add channels that aren't there because they're adjacent, or you're getting harmonics. So when I first got this, I was trying to figure out how to manually add and delete. If we go down here and I hit preset, it'll turn this P on here. Now I can go up and down through the channels, and you'll see they're flashing if they're deleted, and then they're solid if they're added. Okay, how do I delete the channel? Well, let's go the opposite way. If I want to add channel 57, there's an add button right there. If I press that, it's added. Okay, but how do I remove it now? Well, totally intuitive. Hit cancel. And now it's removed. And if I go and hit cancel on 58, now it's removed. I feel like that was an oversight. They probably meant to put DEL below the cancel button. So once I'm done, then I can hit preset. Now, actually, when I'm in preset mode and it's flashing here, if I go and hit tuning, this will automatically cycle through all the channels and add delete the same as it did when I first powered it on and hit channel up or down. So I'm not going to do that. So I'll just hit preset to shut it off. But that's it. Now we have all the correct channels added. It's actually a nice, quick, responsive tuner. And it does the Panasonic way with the big text, and then it gets slightly smaller before going away. But again, nothing that the VFD doesn't also show. It's just a redundant thing on display. Looking at these VU meters, see all these little slits? It's actually 1 LED per 2 slits. So it's sort of faking how precise it is, but it still looks cool. Even if it's completely useless because you can't actually set record levels, I think it's pretty nice. And so here's a station with MTS stereo. 61 and 64 have stereo, and then 2 doesn't. And then for your counter, really simple, counter on off. You can turn memory on and off and reset. Let's pop a tape in and see how it performs. We'll hit play here. This is a home recorded EP tape. Not a very good one, just one I had handy. And there we go. This is really dated. You can tell when this was recorded here. It's a Blockbuster commercial. And it's also pretty noisy. Let's play here.
FHL, so make it a blockbuster night. Why spend a little more for a John Deere lawn tractor?
Honestly, the clarity of EP is great.
The same reason you spend a little more time working on your yard. Because at the end of the day, it's worth it. The award-winning John Deere
Yeah, okay. So going through the controls here, and I showed this earlier in the video, pause will do something very interesting. If I hold down pause, it will give me a few seconds of slowly moving the tape forward to find a clear spot. So if I hold down pause, see, it'll just keep moving forward, with the idea being that I would sort of let go and get a nice clear image. It's actually noticeable from the bottom here. You can't really see it with the tape reels up top, but if you watch as I hold pause down, it very, very slowly moves forward. Let's watch the flywheel here move. That is nothing. You can sort of watch some of the dirt progress. So it's got a very, very minute control in pause. It's kind of like a frame advance, but I would argue it's a little bit more fine. Like if I tap pause, I can barely move that tracking line down. It's super precise. And see, we just moved to another field. And if I do this, we'll work our way to another field. So we're slowly revealing the next field. This noise here is the lack of information in between two recorded fields. So as I go down, you're going to see this bottom change slightly. I might have to go one more. There we go. Anyway, I think that's pretty neat. Not a bad little feature for what's essentially just a two-head machine. If I hit play,
frames for durability.
And if I press fast forward scan, so now we're in the slow speed fast forward scan, or Q. And what's kind of neat is that the tracking actually works during this. So I can use the tracking control to completely clean this picture up on a two-head model. Now, if I go and hold fast forward, it goes into the fast mode. So I believe this is the same speed as Q in SP. Now I'm going to risk hitting rewind because this has been exhibiting a fault where all of a sudden the take-up spool, or I guess supply spool, going in reverse, it's taking up, will stop spinning and then the VCR will fault out. And it appears to be a mechanical issue, but it's intermittent enough where I haven't been able to replicate it and see what's actually going on. I've conveniently not put any screws in here. So let's see what it does. All right then. Maybe the problem solved itself. Anyway, rewind scan, and then we'll go into fast rewind scan. Perfectly fine. We'll rewind back to the commercials. And then I'll hit stop. Let's try it with a store-bought tape. So it'll automatically play because there's no record tab. And there we go. There's a bit of chroma noise on the picture. Let me try the tracking. Oh, actually that went away. The tracking may not be perfectly centered, but it's pretty close. Now, ooh, we got lucky. I was about to say, special effects in SP, yeah, there we go. Special effects in SP are bad. This is an LCD TV, so it's kind of masking what we're seeing if we were to have this on a CRT. Oh yeah, it's flickering like mad. You can see the camera going back and forth between the fields, but it is flickering. And if I hold down pause, I can move those bars up and down, but that's only in one field. The other field is somewhat clear. And then I'm going to go into play and we'll do a fast forward scan. Now, SP only has one speed, which was the fast speed for EP. So if I hold this down, I don't get anything more. That's all you get. All right, I'm going to record some test footage. First, I'm going to do some commercials off of TV. I've got CBC modulated here, so when some commercials come up, I'll record all 3 speeds and then do a direct capture playback so we can nitpick it. Then I'll also hook this directly to a DVD player and just do some test patterns that we can look at. And I'll play some YouTube music so we can hear the audio. I'm going to do all the playback with linear audio, even though this is a hi-fi model, just because it's hi-fi. It sounds fantastic on all 3 speeds. It sounds exactly the same. It's just great. But I'm more curious how it handles the linear audio. That's where you really notice it. So yeah, here we go.
Did I peak in high school? Damn, this is good. No, I'm still peaking. New oatmeal crisp protein with 15 grams of protein with milk.
Wait, come back! Wait, come back, I need more help.
Take a load off it. Take a load.
Today we went to the beach, and it was
Put the load right on me.
totally worth it. Stay 3 nights this summer at Best Western and get $50 off a future stay.
60% of women experience leaks with bladder protection pads. Try Always Discreet. It has a core that converts liquid to gel, and its dual-layer core minimizes bunching to help keep you comfortable. Try Always Discreet. It's designed to protect.
One great Canadian club combo, extra jalapeno. Shooter likes it hot.
For just $1 more, you can make it a Happy Gilmore meal and get a collectible cup.
Gilmore with his own meal deal. Hey, Shooter, I love your cup.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. It sound right, boys.
You know what? Cleaning that spool helped with the warble and the audio. It's fairly clear. It's pretty decent. The video's good. Color's good. This is a decent little machine. And I also glued a little 3D printed peg on here. It looks ugly. Oop, put that up. But it holds it in place. So all I care about is when I close this door, does it at least look okay? So I'm happy with that. I tried 3D printing the little hooks that go around there, and man, it's like building miniatures, and I don't do well with that. But yeah, I think that's about it for this video. I just wanted to show this very uncommon, extremely uncommon VCR. Possibly, I'm going to call it the last good Funai, because this is like right at the end before their new made in China mechanism that everyone loves to hate. The date codes that I've found throughout either say 02 or 03, where if you look at that on the calendar that Japan used to use, might still use, I have no idea, that would put this around 1990 or 1991 for manufactured. A lot of 91 stuff in here, which yeah, would put it right at the tail end of this mechanism. Plus the styling is a very sort of modern for 1991. So yeah, the last good Funai. They probably had other models as well. This is a hi-fi one, but they probably had a 4-head and a basic 2-head. Probably just lost to the ages, I guess. Anyway, thanks for watching.